Sit back as I try to explain why Season 7 can't save the Flash. To better understand my problems with this season after just one episode, we need to look at the production going into the season. During Season 6, they had to cut production short due to the pandemic, leaving the season with only 19 out of the original 22 episodes. Showrunner Eric Wallace later said that the remaining 3 episodes will become the first 3 episodes of Season 7. Now, if you would have told me this a week ago, I would have told you that this is a very bad idea. You can't take any episode and make it the season premiere, because a show's season finale and following season are inherently linked. However, Wallace later went on to say that there may be a few small adjustments made based on how the pandemic would affect shooting. So I thought, okay, they'll probably just change enough in the episode to where the premiere will properly lay out the groundwork for the rest of the season. Spoiler alert, they fucking didn't! Now, before I continue, I want to make this very clear that for the rest of the video, I will not be talking about the filming for these episodes, because I understand that with the pandemic, this was, and still is, a goddamn mess. I will purely be focusing on the writing and the story, as it fails to do the proper job a premiere has to do. The job of a premiere is to set up the connection between a show's season finale and subsequent next season, and is essential to have both of them build off of each other. Let's use The Flash as an example. Season 1 ends with Barry running into a wormhole to stop it from turning into a black hole. Season 2 picks up 6 months later, where we are shown how stopping the wormhole will have massive implications for the rest of the season, and sets up future plot points such as the multiverse, introducing Jay Garrick, and the ability to travel to other Earths. These kinds of connections go for almost every season of a show. Using The Flash again, Season 2 ends with Barry defeating Zoom, but still feeling broken after the death of his father. Barry then goes back in time to stop his mother's murder, and in Season 3, they show us that as a result of this action, Barry has created a new timeline called Flashpoint. This will later have massive consequences for the rest of the season, as it drastically changed many of Barry's relationships, gave more people meta powers, and created...
You're playing Minecraft too? Yo, we're playing Minecraft right now. I'm playing Build Wars right now. Oh.
Oh yeah.
Nah. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry. I just look at something funny. Oh. Damn.
Uh-huh. Oh, damn.
Solani. Oh my gosh. Yo, cat.
What? What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Uh-huh.
Wait, cat.
What?
Hold on, let me. Hold on. Give me a second. Do you know what, cat? Do you know what the Chelani thing, like, how we were talking about earlier?
Oh my god. Wait, hold on. Which one?
The Chelani sauce.
Oh,
I don't know, but right. Do you remember about the Chelani sauce?
yeah, I heard that they got it at Food Town. It's actually pretty good, not gonna lie.
Cause if I don't find out where it is, I'm like nuts.
Yeah, no, I think they sell it at like Dollar General, like Food Town. But I don't know. I'm not like 100% sure.
No, I think probably food then.
Yeah, the last I
Yes.
got it was at Food Town.
Oh, I didn't know. A friend just gave it to me.
Nah, but it's like really good though. Like I'm like you can put it on like a lot of stuff.
I just like eating it something like alone sometimes. I don't even like put anything on it. You know, like the Chilani extravaganza special.
I like putting it
Yeah.
on meat. What?
Oh, I don't know. Are you playing?
Yeah, I like putting it on like hot dogs.
Oh, wait, is Hello Your Name entitled something? Are you playing like multiplayer or single player? Uh, mhm. Damn. You're right, I'm ass. Hold on.
I sent him the invite.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Nice, but I. Oh no, what?
What?
Oh no, no, it's just like a friend. No, wait, Kat, you're talking about like Juan?
Yeah, I'm talking about Juan. Nah, it's
He's
just
talking
our
about like a friend. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
to invite to the server, I think.
I used to be in the server on my old account, and then like I just joined back. So like I'm introduced my friends to it.
Yeah.
Do you know why this
Yeah. That's my first time here. Like, oh man. So what's the point of this server?
No, it's just about it's just a server that a YouTuber made.
Hey,
That's my chinchilla.
do you know about the Chilani? Do you know about the Chilani's ass?
Dude, shut up. Alright. I don't even know the YouTuber this server's about.
It literally has
I
it
don't
in the
watch
name.
it. I know, but I don't
Chilani,
know.
you're
I think.
Wow, what did you say? Chilani! Chilani!
Yeah, I can tell.
Chilani!
I'm just like. Oh. It's on the Chilani special.
I love the Chilani special.
Nah, I thought this was
What do you like putting Chilani sauce on?
You know, I like putting it
Nah,
on
I just
chicken.
always
I like putting it on roast beef, man. Yeah, I like putting it on chicken, roast beef.
I like putting it on meat.
I
What
like
type of meat?
I like putting it on your mama. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
This guy's interesting. Oh my gosh.
This guy's. Yeah, that's the guy.
Are you fucking
That's
me, nigga?
that's the new guy.
Hey,
They're pretty
hey,
interesting.
hello? What?
Nah, not here.
Personality issues. What personality issues? What are you talking about, man?
Yeah,
What
that's
issues do you
true.
think I have?
What issues do you think I have, mister?
Oh my.
Could you please and tell me what issues you think I have, Mr. Entitled Apple?
Tell me.
Yo, there's
Oh,
a new
shit.
person, I think.
Quantum Red Wingala.
There's another new person? Yo, what's up? Oh, there's more new
Richard.
people. What's up?
Richard Nixon.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, man?
Listen, let me tell you something. David Schwimmer is a huge douche. Let me tell you why.
That's
This mo-
hot.
Listen, he comes in, right? And he says,
Wow.
"Hey, I'm David Schwimmer." And then he fucking kicks me out of the Discord call. Who the fuck does he think he is? Does he think he's David Schwimmer or something? What the fuck?
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, well, what if he is David Schwimmer? Did you ever think of that?
If he is David Schwimmer, then I'm gonna kill his family.
Oh, what the? Who kicked it?
Huh, and that's the show,
Huh?
folks.
I
That was
guess
really
David Schwimmer
interesting.
did kick.
That was really interesting.
Who killed him? I mean, who kicked it?
No, nobody kicked him. He just left.
Alright, David. I'm gonna join. There's another David. There's actually
Yeah, it's a David. Yeah.
Schwimmer.
I'm
There's
joining.
Who's
another
the-
David Schwimmer?
Wait, this other person plays Roblox. Play Roblox? I play Roblox.
Who?
Cantham Bread Ringle. The other person that's in the movies.
Oh.
They're not talking. It's okay though. David Schwimmer. Hold on.
Oh damn, there's actually another person called David Schwimmer.
I'm back. Hold on. Speak. Yo, those guys are stupid. Oh my gosh, where's Cat talking? Rachel's talking to all of them. Oh man.
Hey, they were about to mute me.
Are they actually?
Come
The other
on.
people, we joined like a VC. I don't know, they were weird. So
They have other VCs, don't they? Go to game room +6.
Where? Wait, is Cat gonna go?
No, you let
I'll
me
go
go get her.
created the main villain. You see what I'm getting at? In a TV series, each season builds off of the prior one, and the season premiere's job is to bridge those two together and set up future consequences. And here's where the first episode of Season 7 comes into play. Season 6's quote-unquote finale ends with our main villain Eva taking back control of her company McCulloch Technologies by killing her CEO husband and framing newcomer to the show Sue Dearborn for his death. Barry is losing more of his speed while still trying to make an artificial speed force, and Iris, who's been slowly feeling the effects of being trapped in the mirror dimension, has just disappeared. So that is what's being set up going into Season 7. Now, you would think that Episode 1 would address these plot lines and set up the roles they will have to play for the rest of the season. Well, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, it doesn't. The actual episode plays exactly like how it would if it was episode 20 of Season 6. Instead of setting up and building off of the last season, it resolves potential plot lines without leaving anything new for the audience to look forward to. Iris isn't losing her mind, it's just Eva fucking with her, and Barry now has the artificial speed force and can be the Flash again. How the hell does this set up for anything for Season 7?
What about Eva actually being a mirror doppelganger?
Okay, sure, that is setting up something. But the problem with that is that the reveal creates a plot hole for Season 6. At the end of this episode, it is revealed that the Eva we have been seeing is actually a mirror duplicate, and the real Eva died the night of the particle accelerator. Now, I think it's time to play a game I like to call Why This Is Stupid! The game's real simple. I'm going to show on the screen some options on why this reveal is stupid, and you guys have to select the best one. Option A. If Eva is really dead and is found by her husband, why is Iris referred to her as his missing wife? Shouldn't she have found a death certificate in her research? Option B. If her husband found her body, why isn't it public knowledge that she is dead? He gains nothing by lying about her death. Or option C. Eva now has no reason to fight Black Hole if her husband wasn't lying to her, besides the fact that she's a villain. It takes away the concept of this being a revenge story for her, and makes the character less interesting as she now just needs to find a new motivation to be evil within 2 episodes. I'll give you guys some time to think about it. Okay, time's up. It's actually option D, all of the above, because if the premiere is not going to set up the season for success, why the hell should I do that for you guys? Thank you all for playing, and now back to your regularly scheduled content. If this episode was actually released for Season 6, it would have been okay, nothing great, just okay. However, by having it as the season premiere without making any changes to make it work, it is pure, unadulterated laziness. The showrunners saw this copy and paste from the writer's room and just let it happen without thinking about the further implications of this action. For example, this episode isn't even about Barry. Yeah, the episode where he gets his speed back isn't really about him. This is actually a Nash Wells-centric episode. He finds out that the Council Wells in his mind are made of antimatter particles that can be used to power the artificial speed force. However, in order for it to work, Nash needs to be an organic vessel to help the transfer, which will end up killing him and all the other Wellses. After some avoidance of this option, Nash finally realizes that he can't wait any longer for an alternative, and he sacrifices himself, leaving Barry with some final words from all the important Wellses. And, quick side rant. In this episode, all versions of Harrison Wells dies. It's supposed to be this big emotional moment. So why the fuck is Cisco not in this episode? He is the one character that has had a connection with almost every version of Harrison Wells, and you didn't think that there would be an emotional impact by having him there to get his final goodbye along with Barry? Side rant over. By having this being a Nash-centric episode, it doesn't set up any of Barry's journey for this season. Even if they wanted to keep 99% of the episode, they still actually could have added something as setup. At the end of the episode, when Barry was talking to the JV squad of Team Flash, he could say that he may have his speed back, but it's not what it used to be, implying that the artificial speed force isn't as powerful as the original. Like, he is still the fastest man alive, but he is more at the speed of what he was before he entered the Speed Force at the end of Season 3. This will set up a journey for Barry to where he has to slowly get faster again, and we can see him start to fight smarter in the field instead of faster. That's it! Just one line of something that the audience can look forward to, or any kind of setup for the rest of the season. But no, we can't have that, because they were too lazy to change the episode around so it could work as a premiere. I'm sure the writers were really proud about how season 6 was going to end. But after they were dealt this shitty hand of pandemic restrictions, they should have all gotten together in a call and figured out how they were going to rewrite this so it properly wraps up these storylines and sets up the rest of the season. And you know what? If this kind of copy and paste happened earlier in the show's run, I honestly may have paid no mind to it. Don't get me wrong, it still would have been a problem, but it wouldn't have affected my view of the show. However, in combination with the fact that The Flash has refused to acknowledge its problems from prior seasons, leads me to think the show will never change. It's still adding characters instead of building off the ones we already have, still doesn't use certain characters properly, and still doesn't get that Barry should be the main character of the show. For more context for these problems, check out my video on season 6, because everything there still applies. But the point I'm trying to make is that if the showrunners and creators are so incompetent as to just reuse an unused episode's plot rather than making tweaks to have the episode make sense as a premiere, and on top of that, not addressing the glaring problems the show still has, it just makes it look like they don't care about the show anymore and that they're just going through the motions. It is one thing to make a bad episode. It is completely different to give so little of a shit about the show you are working on to not even try and rework your plan for season 7 so that it has proper setup that actually makes it feel like its own season. Seriously, what do I have to look forward to besides Eva being defeated? We have no hook to bring us back for the next episode. Eva doesn't have a bigger plan that would make us think, oh shit, the Flash may be in trouble. There is no pressure of how long Iris is stuck in the mirror dimension anymore because she's not actually going crazy. And Barry even has his speed back already. So any tension we could have built with that is gone. Yeah, it's only the first episode, but as such, it has to leave us wanting more to see what happens next, where these characters are going, and how the plot will unfold. This episode doesn't do any of that. And on top of it, they barely changed episode 1 from what it originally was supposed to be back in season 6. So then, what is stopping them from doing the same thing with the next 2 episodes? All these problems are why I'm done. I'm done with The Flash. I will still watch the show, and if you guys want to see me do rewrites of other seasons, I would love to do that. But other than that, this is my last video on a new season of The Flash. Why should I put in the effort for this show when clearly the higher-ups aren't? Who would have thought that it would be a trilogy of disappointment? Season 5 opened my eyes to the flaws of the show. The second half of season 6 sparked my hatred towards the direction it was heading. And season 7 has already put out that spark, but has left nothing in its place. I feel nothing for the show anymore. Season 7 cannot save The Flash because the show has become complacent and refuses to improve. It's just lazy. And that really sucks. Anyway, I do hope you guys did enjoy the video. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of season 7? For me, the show, The Flash has to do so many things just to make me feel really excited for it again. It just, I don't know, I feel like the show is not going to change in the slightest. Obviously, I'm done with any new season of The Flash, unless there's some drastic changes. But if you guys want to see me do some rewrites of some old seasons, I would love to do that. I feel like it would diversify the channel a bit and let my creative juices flowing. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Guys, like it and new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. Also, to the channel potential, hit the same buttons. Anyway, my name is Gio, and we'll touch you all later. Peace. Can a good ending save a bad movie? What is up, YouTube? My name is Gio, and if you guys don't know, I am a huge fan of the CW Arrowverse. Or at least I was. Granted, I still enjoy many of the shows, but I don't have that same excitement that I had a year ago. What kept me hooked was the anticipation of the crossover Crisis on Infinite Earths. This was the Avengers Infinity War and Endgame for the Arrowverse. The event the fans have been waiting for, a 5-episode long crossover with every character we love in the Arrowverse teaming up to save the multiverse. Then, the first half of the crossover came out, and it wasn't good. And that pains me to say, because I will defend many of these shows to the end on how they're not just good, but great superhero shows. However, the first half was such a clusterfuck The pacing was way too fast, the story didn't have a consistent flow, and it tries to introduce way too many new concepts while at the same time not bringing back enough that we wanted to see. I can make a whole video on how I would fix the first half of Crisis, but that's not the point of this video, because while the crossover in my opinion started off weak, it had a very strong ending. Almost every problem I had with the first half seemed to be resolved with the second. The creators seemed to focus more on story, the pacing got a lot better, and it had an ending that made me cry like a little bitch. Yeah, you got a problem with that? In fact, the ending was so good in my opinion that it improved my view of the crossover as a whole. Which got me thinking, can a bad movie, or TV series in this case, be saved by its ending? Now, getting a clear answer to this question is damn near impossible, so I'm going to be using a very broad brush when describing the movie-going experience. You see, the ending of a film plays a big part in how I, and I'm sure many others, views the movie. If it's great all the way through, including the ending, we leave the movie feeling a sense of gratification, and because we are leaving on that high note with those positive emotions, it elevates the movie as a whole in our mind. It's almost like the concept of a cliffhanger, something that is meant to put you at the edge of your seat so you'll come back and see how it ends. This is why Marvel's post-credit scenes work so well, as the last experience the audience has with the movie is a feeling of anticipation and excitement. But what happens when a good movie has a bad ending? Well, it leaves you with a sour taste in your mouth because the film was going so well and then fumbled at the finish line. You'll probably knock the movie down a few pegs in your head because you left feeling negatively towards the movie. Now, how does a bad movie with a good ending fit into all of this, you may be asking? Well, let's look at a movie that isn't great but has a spectacular ending. The example I want to use is Star Wars Episode 3. Now, as much as I love the prequels, especially Revenge of the Sith, there is no denying that the movie has...
No, it's because I'm so in love with you.
So love has blinded you?
problems. However, where this movie makes up for its mistakes is in its ending. More specifically, the final duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan. God, this fight was a great ending for the movie. Full Fat Videos has an amazing video on this duel. I'm not going to go too deep into why this fight's great, but the point is that if this duel wasn't as great as it was, Episode 3 may not be considered the best movie out of the prequels. Another example I have for this is Avengers Endgame. Hold it! The movie is great. However, there are some flaws in it. Like their explanation for time travel, if you start to think about it just for a little bit, it gets pretty confusing, and Black Widow's death didn't really feel like it got the time it deserved for characters to really reflect on it. But if you had any problem with Endgame, I almost guarantee you that this moment pretty much made all that disappear. Avengers! God damn, that still gives me goosebumps. The point I'm trying to make is that the ending of a film has a lot of power on how the audience will view the rest of the movie. A bad one can hold it back, while a good one can raise up the mediocre. And for me, this is what happened in the back half of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, I'm about to get into some spoilers, so if you haven't seen Crisis yet and don't want to be spoiled, pause the video, add it to your watch later playlist, and come back once you've caught up. You good? Okay. The main thing that helps the crossover in my opinion is the way they send off Oliver Queen. Arrow was the show that started this entire CW universe, so giving Oliver a good send-off was key. And while it wasn't perfect, like I would have loved if along with Sarah and Barry, Diggle was somehow there when Oliver died. But we still got an emotional ending where Oliver helps create a brand spanking new multiverse, and he gets the send-off he so desperately deserves. Because when they killed him physically in the first episode of the crossover, I was more than a little pissed. However, I'd be lying to you if I said that I didn't cry when I saw Diggle's family at the end, along with everyone just reminiscing on Oliver Queen. In fact, the entire last episode in the crossover, in my opinion, was perfect. It tied up any loose ends from the rest of the crossover, sent off Oliver in a damn near perfect way, and set up the status quo for the universe that the other shows will be following. I feel like the creators knew exactly how they wanted to end the crossover, but didn't really know the steps to get there. This would explain the dramatically different pacing between both halves, with one being at breakneck speeds, while the other takes its time so characters can react to the situation at hand. Crisis on Infinite Earths isn't the best crossover by any means that the CW has had. mainly because the first half really held it back, but it was saved by its ending. At best, the ending wraps up this era of the Arrowverse beautifully, and at worst, it helped me understand the decisions that were made during the first half of the show. I think that's the big takeaway here. A good ending helps you understand prior creative decisions. They killed off Oliver early so they can introduce the Spectre and make it so Oliver created the new universe. They made Lex Luthor manipulate the Book of Destiny, so in this new universe, Lex has more control and is more light, so he could potentially run for president in a future Supergirl story. And they didn't include all the legends, so they could give more time to focus on Sarah and her connection with Oliver. So as much as I don't like many of the decisions Crisis made, the ending helped me understand them, and any show that makes me cry earns some kind of points in my book. This is why I believe Crisis on Infinite Earths was saved by its ending. Anyway, I do hope you guys did enjoy the video. Tell me in the comment section down below, what do you guys think of Crisis? Did you guys like it? Do you guys hate it? Or do you just not watch the CW Arrowverse? I don't know, but that's not the point of this ending, actually. The point of this ending is to thank you all for 1,000 subscribers. We hit 1,000 subscribers a couple weeks back, and I didn't get the opportunity to say anything about it because I'm currently was working on this video, was going back to college, so my schedule has been insane. However, I cannot express how happy I was that I reached that milestone, and I can only really thank you guys. I've been doing YouTube and stuff since I was since I was like 14, younger than that actually, since I was like 12. I have some old videos, obviously not on this channel, but I have some old videos of doing YouTube. I've fallen in and out with YouTube, doing it consistently on and off, and then this channel came around, and it just feels really good that I have finally reached a milestone with a channel that I have so many ideas for. Like, I'm currently working on an entire rewrite of the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and that I'm really passionate about. I have a lot of ideas for that. However, it's going to be really long because unlike the actual sequel trilogy, I want to have a plan for it, so it's gonna be a while. I also have some other videos I'm working. I also have some other video ideas. Like, I definitely want to talk about Arrow once it's done because I love that show so much. And I haven't made a Marvel video in a while. I need to think of something for Marvel. I don't know. It feels like it's been in the dark lately. Morbius. That's an idea. A Morbius video. I cannot express enough how appreciative I am towards you guys about giving my channel a shot. There's so many other channels you can watch on YouTube, and you've decided to stop and watch mine and subscribe, and that just feels good to me. That really does. Anyway, I do hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you guys like this and new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. Also, did this channel have potential? Hit the same buttons. Anyway, my name is Gio, and thank you all for 1,000 subscribers. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace. What's up, YouTube? My name is Gio, and if you've been following my channel for a while, it should come as no shock to you that my expectations for the Snyder Cut could best be described as cautiously optimistic. I haven't exactly kept it a secret that I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder's interpretations of DC's cast of characters. And while I never judged something before watching it, I've been burned by Zack Snyder's DC movies enough to go into it with an open mind, but not expecting something on the level of Infinity War. Or Iron Man 2. Much to my surprise, I actually found myself enjoying the movie a lot more than I anticipated, and definitely prefer it over the theatrical cut. However, while the question, do I like the Snyder Cut, has an easy answer, I found myself constantly going back to something more important. Is the Snyder Cut actually good?
Be very careful with the next thing you say.
Before I go ahead and point out the obvious flaws with this movie, I think I should first talk about what I liked about the Snyder Cut. Because yes, there are things I enjoyed in this movie. And it's also a good way to ease you all into the ass whacking I'm going to give this film towards the end. But enough of that, let's look at positives. For one, I like that we had more time to spend with the individual members that will form the Justice League. I always found it weird that in the theatrical cut, we are at the start introduced to 3 new characters, and by the end, still know barely anything about them. Because why the hell would we need to know anything deep about individual members of our Team Up movie? The Snyder Cut fixes this by including many scenes that help to flesh out these characters, and is best seen within the newcomers of Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg. Each of these guys get more time and story dedicated to them, and results vary from good to world-breakingly bad. But for now, let's look at Aquaman, who while doesn't get a lot of new scenes, manages to work great with what he got. In the theatrical cut, the character is very one-note as a cool buff surfer guy, with the only deviation of that being played up for laughs. In the Snyder Cut, the extra dialogue sets up Arthur's relationship with Atlantis, a bit of his backstory, and this scene in particular with Barry really helps in characterizing Arthur as not just someone who looks out for himself.
We're asking a kid who just lost his father to go up against the most powerful machines in the universe. It's not fair.
I thought you didn't care.
I never said that.
These are examples of good additions to the film, because it fleshes out Aquaman's character without breaking the world building. Don't worry, we'll get to you later. As for my thoughts on the other characters, The Flash and Cyborg are definitely the standouts, as they get a shit ton of more screen time than in the theatrical cut. And for the most part, I liked many of the additions. Barry especially was a lot less annoying than what he was. Here he's still comic relief, just not as in your tits about it. Except for this. This is weird. Other than whatever that was, the Snyder Cut did a better job at showing why the Flash belongs on the team. He's exceptionally faster in this version and plays many key roles in the story, whereas in the theatrical version, he barely contributed to the team and just seemed to be there for a quick injection of Marvel humor when the writers felt like your levels were low. As for Cyborg, I think for once I'd have to agree with Zack Snyder when he said that he was the heart of the film. Victor is definitely the most complex character out of the bunch, and it was nice to see him develop from a boy so blind with anger that he took his second chance of life for granted, to a man with the ability to move past that anger and make the most out of his reroll of life. And while I do think the character does have a few consistency issues, Ray Fisher's performance and overall narrative of his arc often would make me forget about that. It's obvious that Fisher has a deep-seated love for this character, and was able to cover the writer's mistakes with heart and charisma. As for our DC Trinity, they're fine. Batman and Superman are finally getting moments to be more heroic, and after being pegged by the edginess of the past DCE movies, it is a nice change of pace to not have Batman try to obliterate random goons. I can't deny that it was nice to see these characters actually saving people and being heroes. Wonder Woman is the member though that kind of got the shaft. I mean, she's okay, but her main focus is purely to fight shit and give exposition. Doesn't really add or take away from her character, so my feelings towards her are neutral. The last thing I want to address that I liked is the changes to the main villain, Steppenwolf. He got a massive overhaul, not just design, but his entire plan and motivation. Unlike in the theatrical cut, we find out that his motivations for finding these mother boxes is so he can eventually return home after betraying his master Darkseid. And while that doesn't make him an amazing villain by any means, the fact that we can understand his need to want to go home makes him a lot better than the theatrical version. And on a side note, from a character design level, despite the unnecessary amount of spikes, I love Steppenwolf's design. I think the best way to describe what I like about it is by showing this scene. Here we learn that Steppenwolf cannot return home until he takes control of a fuck ton of more planets named Darkseid. And the VFX team chose to have his eyes get bigger when he's reminded that he can't go home. It kind of has strong parallels to a dog's facial reaction, and it's able to make us artificially feel for the character. It's just a nice touch that I wanted to point out. Anyway, back to Steppenwolf's plan. We get information for why he chose where he kept these mother boxes, and that in order to find the location of the second mother box, Steppenwolf had to probe it from the mind of an Atlantean guard. So he was able to boom tube there without making it seem like he can just teleport in front of the box with no prior information. Seriously, Josh Whedon, what the f were you thinking there? Overall, I had a fun time watching the Snyder Cut, and that's mainly because if you've seen any video on my channel, you would know that I put a lot of enjoyment stock into if I like the characters, and Snyder did a decent job at fleshing out a lot of the League and our main villain. Even if there are characters I don't enjoy, I at least have a few in here that I do, which is more than what I can say about the theatrical cut. So yes, I enjoyed the Snyder Cut and will probably watch it again. But if you look at this video's timeline bar, you should know that we ain't done just yet. Now before you all go down to the comments section in a preemptive strike to defend the Snyder Cut, let me make one point very clear. This is not me trying to take the fun out of something you enjoy, and this certainly is not me saying that you are wrong for liking something. However, this is me trying to look at a film from a more critical lens to see if its plots and characters stay consistent within the movie's world. Zack Snyder was given free range to make the film he initially wanted, and he started by taking out everything Joss Whedon reshot. And while a lot of that was for the benefit of the film, I'm looking at you, Vertical Video of Superman, there were some moments that would actually have been nice to stay around. A good example is this exchange between Batman and the Flash.
It's really cool, you guys seem ready to do battle and stuff, but full transparency, I've never done battle. I've just pushed some people and run away.
Save one person.
Which one?
Don't talk, don't fight. Get in, get one out.
And then?
You'll know.
It makes sense that with Barry's low level of experience, he would be initially nervous about the fight, and it's nice to see Bruce fall into that mentor role like he normally does with the Robins. More importantly though, what this does is it reasonably nerfs Barry. You see, the Flash is probably one of the most powerful characters in DC Comics, so his rogues gallery is specifically made to have some way to counteract his speed. This can range from tech that can slow him down, like Captain Cold's freeze gun, to pure mental or physical strength to take a beating, like Gorilla Grodd. My point being that the Flash is very powerful, but by showing him as inexperienced, it's a good way to artificially nerf his powers, and not just have him as a get-out-of-trouble-free card.
But you were saying that before the Flash was too weak. Now he's too powerful?
Yes, I did say that, because a character can be inexperienced and still be powerful. I'm just asking for a proper balance as to not fuck with the film's stakes. Don't worry, Scene. I'll get to you. Just wait your turn. While many of Snyder's changes are for the better, like Batman already putting a team together before finding out about Steppenwolf to keep him in line with what he said he would do in Batman vs. Superman, and a proper explanation on how the mother boxes work, there are also changes that serve no purpose to the story, or actually fucks with the world building so hard you would think you wound up on a very different website. But what I do on my Fridays aside, an example of this broken world building can be seen when we learn about Darkseid's first invasion on Earth. Here he fought the people of man, Themyscirans, Atlanteans, a Green Lantern, and the fucking gods. Now, in the theatrical version, Steppenwolf was the one to invade Earth, and he only retreated because he was forced to. This actually helps in showing how threatening Steppenwolf is, as after fighting these massive conflicts against literal gods, he retreated against his own wishes. Hell, he probably could have gone a few more rounds. With Darkseid, he's a bitch. Seriously? This is the guy that's supposed to be so threatening and scary? The guy that just got beat by a god who himself ends up dying to Wonder Woman? We're going off of prison rules right now. Diana is at the top of that metaphorical food chain. The point I'm trying to make is that while Snyder's extra scenes did add more context to many elements of the film, others end up actually creating more problems than what was there for the theatrical version. I feel like Snyder should have actually watched the theatrical cut and asked himself what was cut, why, and what is the scene that was cut helping or hurting the film's consistency. And while we're on the topic of consistency, the Snyder Cut has a lot of problems when it comes to characters and consistencies. While I understand that this isn't the version of Justice League that I grew up with, a lot of characters are inconsistent with not just the source material, but also within the DCEU. An easy example to point to is the inclusion of Martian Manhunter. This is clearly fan service, as Snyder has stated that at the end of the movie where Bruce meets Martian Manhunter for the first time, that spot was supposed to be taken up by a Green Lantern, but Warner Brothers shut them down. Now, while I do love me some fan service, the character has no purpose in the movie and actually ends up hurting Snyder's other works. To start with the Snyder Cut itself, the inclusion of Martian Manhunter actually takes away from a nice scene between Superman's mom, Martha Kent, and Lois Lane. Because as Martha leaves, she's revealed to be the Martian Manhunter in disguise, and this interaction almost ends up getting Batman killed. For those of you who don't know, at the start of the movie, it is established that every morning, Lois visits Superman's memorial, which later is where the League fights a resurrected Superman, and Lois comes in to stop him. However, that time was supposed to be her last because she was going to go back to working full-time at the Daily Planet after her talk with the Martian. I guess it was really lucky that Martian Manhunter didn't decide to come talk with Lois a few days before, or she wouldn't be at the monument during Superman's return, leaving Batman to be nothing more than a stain on the fucking grass. We also are shown that Martian Manhunter is actually General Swanwick from Man of Steel, and seeing him as this character who is often portrayed on the same level as Superman kinda makes him an asshole. I mean, you're telling me that the world almost ended twice, Metropolis as a city has received damages equivalent to 1,000 terrorist attacks, fucking doomsday, and this man didn't think to intervene once? Oh, I'm sorry. He had to make sure that Lois went back to the Daily Planet, because that's a great use of the Martian's valuable time. Speaking of our favorite boy in blue, or black in this movie, Superman kinda sucks. Like, I don't get the obsession people have with making Clark evil, and I'm not just talking about Snyder. It seems to be a trend nowadays to run the Man of Steel's character through the mud. I mean, this scene of him protecting Cyborg is nice and seemingly heroic, until you remember that he just did this, felt no remorse after the fact, and is supposed to lead up to this. I need to rant for a minute. Like I said before, it seems like a trend to make Superman evil. And I'm not saying that it can't work. I mean, look at the video game and comic book run Injustice: Gods Among Us. Superman here has become a tyrannical dictator after Joker tricked him into killing Lois and their unborn child. But you know why that works and not the DCEU? Because in Injustice, we get to know the true Superman, the hopeful light that is Clark Kent. So when we see this out-of-character Superman, it's a sharp contrast from how he's supposed to be, and it makes us sympathize with what brought the Man of Steel to this point. I honestly feel so bad for Henry Cavill. He seems like a genuinely great guy, and he has never gotten the chance to play a truly hopeful Superman.
I understand what you're saying, but when it comes to fans, it is a fan's right to have whatever opinion they want to have. And people are going to be upset because, especially when we're talking about books or games, because you're never going to be the exact person who they had in their head or who they played on Witcher 3, for example. I don't necessarily consider that toxic. I just consider that passionate.
There's some smaller inconsistency issues, like during Cyborg's first meeting with Diana, he's still talking about his powers in a more negative light, when literally 20 minutes earlier, he was having a grand old time flying around and saving a nice lady and her family from being evicted. How are you still calling your powers a curse when you literally just proved to yourself that it can be used to help people? The Flash gets shot in both of these scenes, but manages to speed heal in only one. And this scene where Diana comes to the conclusion that Arthur is a half-breed Atlantean because he breathes air, when most Atlanteans, including just basic guards, seem to be just fine with sucking up oxygen. Instead of thinking, oh, he could be royalty, or oh, he could be a strong warrior, she just goes, nope, he's a half-breed, that's it, no other needed. Honestly, you would think the one person from Themyscira wouldn't jump the gun like that. And while I am on the topic of Diana, the DCEU has no idea what they want to do with her characterization. Like, does she kill? Does she not? Does she want to save the world with love or decimation? She's probably the most inconsistent character in this universe. And don't get me started on Batman. I don't care that Batman has killed in this universe. I personally don't like it, and think, just like in the case of Superman, that before you deconstruct the character, you need to, I don't know, construct them first. My issue is Zack's view of Batman's combat is very limiting. We see him use his grappling hook, maybe a couple batarangs, and an alien gun. These restrictions lead him to kind of getting sidelined during the climactic fight, and Batman is more than that, especially if he's fighting these world-ending threats. I mean, as stupid as the Batman v Superman fight is, having Bruce invent all these gadgets to use to take down the Man of Steel shows why he can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the Justice League. Not because he's the strongest, but because he's always thinking 5 steps ahead. Imagine Batman holding his own against Steppenwolf because he's using all of his gadgets and tech similar to in BVS. That would be a much more interesting fight and use for Batman during this scene. I know he was supposed to be protecting the Flash during the Steppenwolf fight, but Barry still got shot, so it really makes his job feel kind of irrelevant to the overall plot. Speaking of the Flash and the plot, I think it's about time that we bring up this scene where the planet is about to be destroyed, and to fix it, Barry runs so fast that he is rewinding time. Now at first, I love this scene. I still even get some enjoyment out of it if I just focus on the pure spectacle. However, as an avid watcher of the Flash TV show, something felt off. And then I realized that by trying to fix how useful the Flash is in this movie, Zack Snyder made him extremely overpowered. I say this because when Barry is talking about going this fast, he makes a point to say that he has one rule that he can't break. That being, don't fuck with time. However, Barry proceeds to break this rule not once, but twice in this movie. Now, I'm not against him using his full speed to save the day. However, I do have a problem when you set up rules for a hero's powers and then don't show the consequences of breaking that rule. You can make a character really interesting by giving them limits. For example, Batman's limit is that he is only human, so seeing him go up against these enhanced individuals and aliens is inherently interesting because our hero now needs to be resourceful and think outside of the box. In the Flash show on the CW, back when it was good, Barry was always told that messing with time will have irreversible consequences. And when Barry still breaks this rule, he is punished for it, to show that Barry can't just go and reverse time to get the outcome that he wants. In the Snyder Cut, the Flash breaks his no time travel rule twice and nothing happens, not even acknowledging that this could lead to some consequences in the future. This brings up the obvious follow-up question that if there are no consequences to reversing time, then why the fuck not just abuse the shit out of that power? This takes away the stakes from any scene the Flash is in, because to solve the problem, you can just run super fast. If you roll back time, who cares? There's no consequences. Let's say I tell you to not put your hand on a hot stove. You later end up touching the stove and don't get burned. Hell, I don't even try to punish you for breaking the one rule that I gave you. So if there's no consequences, you're gonna break the rule again. If you're not going to have consequences for breaking a rule, why even have it to begin with? You can actually solve this with one scene. After defeating Steppenwolf, Bruce can notice that Barry is a little on edge. He can then go up to him and ask, what's wrong? And Barry can say something like, I broke my rule, I messed with time, and if I know anything about the timeline, it doesn't like to be messed around with. I feel like this could bite us in the back later. Bruce can then go to comfort Barry and tell him, you did what you had to do. Whatever comes from this, we will face it together. That's it. That's all I want. Something that addresses the fact that there will be consequences because the Flash went back and reversed time. And you know what? I could get past a lot of these problems and inconsistency with the movie. But there is one thing that really fucks with the film.